Hello, I'm Julianne and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. You may want to check out some of the previous videos I did on the topic of TBR 0 because this is month 17. So you, if you're coming in here, you are joining right in the middle. But if this is where you choose to start, more power to you. I hope you enjoy regardless. So, I had a few good months recently. So, I finally got rid of my Audible subscription. I felt like I was on top of everything. And then this month happened. So it was November 2024. And I fell off the wagon. I read some books, and none of them were from my TBR. Total fail, off the wagon. But I'm going to talk to you about it anyway, and I'm going to talk to you about how I got to this stage of completely losing the plot when it came to my TBR 0 project. So first of all, I'm going to tell you about the books and I'm going to do the tally. I think that would be nice. So the first thing I finished reading this month was Secrets of the Majestic. This is a comic anthology themed around some toilets in a hotel. So background, the Thought Bubble Comic Convention, which is held in Harrogate every year, used to have its like mid-con party drinks in this big hotel called the Majestic. And the thing that's special about this hotel is that the men's toilets are basically a palace. I have seen them with my own eyes. I have gone in there after Keegan started encouraging everybody to visit. I have been there. I have seen this with my own eyes. I went in when a bunch of other women were going in. I did not start the non-men crusade into these toilets, but they are massive. It's ridiculous. There's like a bench. This bench thing on the cover of this comic is actually there. There are many panels of this comic in this comic anthology which show the majesticness of the Majestic toilets. Anyway, it's so strange. It's such a phenomenon, and kind of a rite of passage for everybody at Thought Bubble to have to go there and see them. A couple of years ago, the editor of this anthology, or the editors, I should say, decided to open up submissions for writers and artists to propose stories set in these toilets. And this was so much fun. I really enjoyed seeing how people like built up a mythology around these toilets. Yeah, it was, yeah, there's nothing really to say. It's just like such a funny concept and brilliantly executed, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I finished, another physical book that was not on my TBR. Secrets of the Majestic was not on my TBR because my partner bought it, so me reading it makes no difference to my bookshelves, so I can't count it. I also can't count Big Bones because that's a library book. So Big Bones is a funny YA book about a girl who is absolutely obsessed with food, loves food. It sort of struggles with other people expecting her to care about her weight. Like, she doesn't really care. She's happy with who she is, and she enjoys food, and she's proud about that. But other people can really be a pain about it. It's strange. It's kind of a strange one, this, because it's really hard to say that it has a plot so much, as it's just sort of like a slice of life and a sequence of things kind of happening to the main character. But at the same time, it's really compelling, and there are some sort of themes that kind of carry on through. And I did enjoy it. It's one of those books which is actually funny. You know, I actually laughed at places. In some places it can be quite outrageous and you're like, oh my god, did you actually put that in this book? Yeah, there was one chapter in particular where I was just like, but then I thought about it and I was like, that is kind of the stupid thing that children would do. So, you know, it kind of tracks. But yeah, it's a strange book. But I enjoyed the humour a lot. Then I read from NetGalley. You see, it's just one thing after another. Book from somebody else's shelves. Library book, NetGalley. I read from NetGalley a Jingle Mingle, which is the third in the Christmas Notch series. This is a series about basically people who were previously famous for other things making wholesome Christmas movies. So like in the first book, one of the main characters is a pop star and the other one is a porn star. And in the second book, there's another one of the boy band members and a former child actress. And then in the third book, it's one of the friends of the female protagonist from the first book and then the third boy band member. What I really love about these books is, although there's a lot of shall we say adult content, they're also just really wholesome. It's you wouldn't think those two things could be combined, but they're just full of characters who are just really, really sweet to each other and really kind and thoughtful and lovely, and yeah, they really feel like one big family, and it's just very, very cute. So yeah, I read that, enjoyed that. Sad that this series is finished, and there won't be any more stories. Hopefully they might write some more novellas, because there was a little novella set in this world, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, that was fun. Then I read The Weird and Wonderful Surviveries of Squid by the Mollusc. Long title, good title though, and great book. We read this on the way home from Thought Bubble in the train, and both really, really enjoyed it. We read it together, which was really nice. I enjoyed doing that with my partner. So this is about the author's experience growing up as a British-born Chinese queer trans neurodivergent person. It's essentially a short story collection. So it has a couple of pages of foreword and a cast of characters, and then goes on to these sort of mainly kind of one-page stories recapping different moments in his life, which are accompanied by notes giving a little bit more background to each story. We really, really enjoyed this. It was very fun and moving, and just a really lovely glimpse into his life. He's someone that I've got to know a little bit because we were all at a comic convention in a library together, and then followed each other on Instagram and have had some conversations on there. And yeah, this book was just delightful, especially after seeing him talk about it for so long and promote it for so long, to finally have it in my hands and be able to read it and enjoy it was wonderful. And yeah, although we reread that together, the book was actually bought by Nick, so yeah, it does not count against my TBR. Neither does All Our Hidden Gifts, which I finally got around to borrowing from the library. Now that I'm free at Audible, I can start to listen to some of the audiobooks that I've had on hold from the library for absolutely ever. And I started off with All Our Hidden Gifts, which I really, really enjoyed. It's about a girl who finds a pack of tarot cards whilst cleaning out part of her school. It's sort of like a detention thing. And she starts giving tarot readings to the other girls at school. She gets a new friend who sort of becomes her manager and kind of manages the bookings. And she becomes kind of a school phenomenon. And what's weird about her tarot reading abilities is that she just sort of knows how to do it. And she does look up some meanings, but she takes to it much faster than she ever has anything else in her life. Anyway, at one point she's goaded into giving her ex-best friend a reading by some other girls who are kind of horrible to her and are kind of the reason why she stopped being friends with this other girl in the first place. And after this tarot reading, this girl disappears. And the rest of the book follows her new friend, and the brother of the girl who disappeared. Kind of web of lies, not telling each other the truth, especially the protagonist. She is very ashamed of many things and puts off telling people stuff that she should have mentioned much earlier on. And basically trying to figure out what's going on and what happened it's a very contemporary book. It's set in contemporary Ireland. And the way that the kind of magical, spooky, mystical elements are woven into the book is really delightful, because you could easily interpret it as just being in everybody's head. Like, it's quite ambiguous, and I like that. You know, you're like, is this psychological or is this magic? And there are two more books in this series that I'm looking forward to reading, or probably listening to, because I think the library has both. Then I listened to another audiobook, this one from Spotify, The Merriest Misters. Now, I kind of thought, this is on Spotify, so I'm going to give this a try. I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. So the Merriest Misters is basically like a gay Santa Claus. So the protagonists of this story are a married couple who, the night before Christmas, accidentally beat up Santa because they think he's an intruder. And it turns out that he is Santa, and then he quits. And this kind of invokes a condition where an elf tells them that if one of them doesn't volunteer to be Santa Claus and take on the cloak of Santa Claus, then there will be no Christmas. So they do that. They have fun flying around the world, delivering the rest of the presents, and then they are told that basically they now have to continue being Santa. And Santa's wife, or there will be no Christmas next year. And so they sort of reluctantly agree to do this, and the Santa's wife role becomes the Merriest Mister, because there has never been a gay Santa before. And what I really loved about this was, although this is like ridiculous and very fairy tale, it was also very human, and it explored a lot of issues to do with like fulfillment at work, and like marriage, and working out your differences, and the problems that can arise even in an established relationship. I found it to be really moving, really interesting, and really romantic, despite the kind of fairy tale frame story, suspend your disbelief, imagine that Santa is a thing kind of the requirements of the book. You know, despite all this, you know, you're reading an adult book in which Santa is real. Despite that, I found it to be just so compelling. I loved it. Would recommend The Merriest Misters. Yay. And then I read Sunbringer, which is the second in the Fallen Gods trilogy by Hannah Kaner, the sequel to Godkiller. I read Godkiller just a couple of months ago, so I was really, really keen to read the sequel before I forgot what happened. And so I did. And I made myself a bunch of notes afterwards, and I think I'm going to do this for all series books in future. Just make a bunch of notes for myself about like who the characters are and what the ending was, because I really struggle when I come to pick up a sequel to a book and I don't remember enough detail about what happened in the first one. You know, sometimes you can find recaps or like a detailed enough synopsis on Goodreads or something, but other times you can't. And I feel like I really struggle to get into the book, but I don't necessarily always want to reread it. Like sometimes I'll reread it quite happily because I really enjoyed the first one, or the second one, or whichever one it was that was most recent. But other times I don't really want to read the previous book again. And yeah, I thought this time around, in case I don't want to read the other books in the trilogy again, I'm just going to make a load of notes. So, good move on my part. And the last book that I read was Small Things Like These, which was another library book, which I've already taken back to the library because it was for my book club, and I needed to get it back after that because other people had put holds on it. Small Things Like These is kind of Christmas related. It's set during Christmas, but I wouldn't call it like fun and festive. It's more of a sort of like slow, thoughtful, very, very interesting book. So it's set in 1980s Ireland, and it follows a man who is the son of a Catholic mother who had a child out of wedlock. But fortunately, instead of getting carted off to a mother and baby home like a lot of unfortunate young women at that time, his mother worked for a Protestant woman who was very wealthy, who just decided to, you know, keep her on, let her continue to work for her and lived there as well. So he grew up like with his mother, who unfortunately died young. But he kind of had a family and a lot of privilege that other people didn't have. And in the run up to this particular Christmas, he has to go to the mother and baby home to drop off some coal, and gets a sudden insight into what life is really like for the women who are there, who are supposedly being cared for and looked after, but are in, if you know anything about Catholic Irish mother and baby homes, actually in a very awful, abusive situation. I really, really enjoyed this. It was really moving, and the writing was exquisite. The way the story is told, following this one man, showing you snippets of his history and his own family life, and the difficult decision that he decides to make. Just really, really beautiful. I enjoyed it a lot. So it is now time for the tally. Let's see how many books I read in each category. We already know that I did not read any TBR books, but let's do it anyway. So I read 2 comics I borrowed from Nick, 2 print library books, 1 book from NetGalley, 1 library audiobook, 1 Spotify audiobook, and 1 library ebook, and 0 TBR 0 books. So what happened? What went wrong? Let's have a think. So, November. It was a very, very busy month. I didn't have a lot of time for like sitting down and reading. I think this is obvious due to the fact I only read 3 actual novels. 2 of the books I read were comics, which were quick reads, and I mostly read those on a train. I also read the novella that I read on the train. I read small things like these entirely on the train to go see my sister. I was on the train for an hour and 15 minutes, and I don't think I actually started reading till like I was 15 minutes in, so I think I read that in an hour. I listened to 2 audiobooks. Again, another sign of not having very much time for reading. I think, like, although I could have not listened to those audiobooks because one was the library and one was Spotify, I could have just not listened to them at all. There was no requirement for me to listen to them. I was craving books, and so I found myself listening to them. The problem is now that I'm obviously very behind on my 1 TBR book, 1 non-TBR book reward system, so I am going to have to spend the next month desperately trying to compensate up for it and make up for it, which is not something I am pleased with. I would like to just keep it up. It puts less pressure on me when I am keeping up with it naturally, you know, but yeah, it's got to be done. It's got to be done, and I don't like the fact that not a lot of space has opened up on my shelves now in recent months. I think I just have to not ask for any new books for Christmas, which I don't think I've ever done. I don't think I've ever not asked for books for Christmas. I mean, I may get books for Christmas anyway, because sometimes my partner just buys me something that he thinks I'll like. But yeah, I'm not gonna ask for anything, I think. There's just too much there already. I think it's just gonna have to be a no book Christmas gifts year. Very sad, but hopefully if I read more in December and read more all of 2025, then for Christmas 2025 I can ask for books and things can go back to normal. Let's cross our fingers and hope. I also think that I will just have to make more time for reading. I need to prioritise it more. I'm not very good at letting myself have time to do things I like. I tend to pile my to-do list with more and more things I think I need to do to be productive. Like, I will just assume that I need to do all the chores in the house. And just like an endless circle of chores. And I know chores are an endless circle, but I think I was putting like far too much pressure on myself to do like all the chores every week. So I have switched to a system now where I do like one big room cleaning like every week. And I don't try and do 2, because I think trying to do 2 was just too much, and I was just very stressed and never had any time to relax. And like, I've been ill for 2 years, you know, so it has been difficult to fit anything in other than work. You know, for long periods of time, I have been so exhausted just from doing my job that I really haven't had the energy to do much else. And all the things I enjoy in life have suffered as a result. I haven't read as much as I would like to. I haven't like socialized very much. I haven't written as much as I would like. It's all just sort of fallen by the wayside. And when I say I haven't read as much as I would like, I haven't read like the kinds of things that I would like to read as much as I would have liked. You know, like I have read a lot. Like I do read more than most people. You know, I'm not in denial about that. But I have spent like large periods of time reading like easier stuff, like graphic novels, listening to more audiobooks than print books, because it's just easier to do when I'm tired and I have so much to do and can't fit it all in. So yeah, I think that basically I just need to prioritize that. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and let me know in the comments if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned today and how your TBR 0 projects are going, if you have them, or any other reading challenges you're doing. Thank you again. You'll see me soon. Bye.